So redlining, got more Race Hustler Rhetoric coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logical Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So I got more Race Hustler Rhetoric for y'all. So redlining is an example of historical crime. Again, black people trying to make the past relevant to today. But now I've done several episodes on redlining. And the reason why I do that is because black people still cry about it. You still hear black folks crying about redlining. It's like they've just been brainwashed with it so bad. It's like these black people, they'll be having like redlining nightmares. They be waking up in the middle of like shouting redlining. It's so bad. And the worst part about it is that the overwhelming majority of black people who cry redlining can't even explain it. Matter of fact, this is the case for the majority of a lot of Race Hustler Rhetoric. All these blacks who crying about all the examples of Race Hustler Rhetoric, most of them can't explain or defend it. And that's the sad part about it. Anyway, so what is redlining? Basically, it's a credit rating. That's all it is. And just like everybody has an individual credit rating, whether it's good or it's bad. You have a credit rating based off of your behavior, how you behave with your credit. If you do all of the things that's going to cause you to have good credit, you're going to have good credit. Do the things that's going to cause you to have bad credit, you're going to have bad credit. Now, it's supposedly a guarded secret over what the credit bureaus use to determine what your credit is, but most of it is known what they use. You just go to any credit repair service and they'll pretty much, for the most part, know how they determine the credit ratings, and they'll tell you what the things that you can do to improve your credit. But your credit rating is determined based off of your behavior. It's not determined based off of no system. It's not determined based off of no white supremacy or racism. It's determined solely on your behavior. Again, you do the things that's going to cause you to have good credit, you're going to have good credit. Do the things that's going to cause you to have bad credit, you're going to have bad credit. That's just what it is. Now, redlining, as black people cry about it, is basically a credit rating based off of area, because just like individuals get credit ratings, well, lenders also give credit ratings based on areas, and they use several criteria to determine, is it feasible, does it make sense or not to lend money to someone to invest in a certain community. Am I going to lend money to somebody to open up a shop in said community? Well, what's the criteria do we use to determine if it's a good place to lend or if it's a bad place to lend? Again, there are certain criteria they use, such as the crime rates. Typically, higher crime rates equals a bad place to lend to. The income level. If you have a high income, generally this is going to be a place that's labeled as a good place to lend. A lot of poverty in general is going to be labeled as a bad place to invest in. The school system, how well the kids are being educated, what's the product that's being put out, how well are the schools doing. Again, there's something else that will be to determine if the area is a good place to invest in or a bad place to invest in. Now, when it comes down to credit ratings, as you know, the credit bureaus, they have two different metrics. They have a number system that goes up from 0 to 800, which is the more accurate system, obviously. But then there's also a color system that they use. In a color system, you have 5 colors. You have dark green, which is the best rating, is the best credit. Then you have light green, and then there's yellow, orange, and then finally red. Red is anyone who has a credit rating or color rating of red, they have the worst credit. And the red in redlining comes from that red color. But if an area is redlined, it's because of the behavior of the people in the community. So if you have a problem with this area being redlined or being labeled as an area that's a poor place to lend to, the people you need to be looking at are the people in the community, not the lenders who make the decision based off the set criteria that they use for everywhere to determine that it's a poor place to lend to. You need to be looking at the people in that community and telling the people in the community to stop doing the things that's going to cause your area to be labeled as red, and start doing more of the things that's going to make your area be labeled as green. Same thing you would do with a person who has bad credit, individual bad credit. You would tell them to stop doing the things that's causing their credit to be bad. You would advise them to go, like I said, go to seek a credit repair agency to help them repair your credit. Well, the same thing with the community. If they're labeled as red, they need to stop doing the things that's causing them to be labeled as red, and seek out advice or listen to the advice of the people who are trying to tell them to stop doing the things that's causing them to be red and start doing this, that was going to cause your area to be labeled as green. Now, in closing though, redlining at one point in time was falsely used against black people back in the past. The lenders, white lenders, would falsely give black communities a credit or rating of red, which is where they call it redlining, to give them an excuse to not lend money to be invested in the black communities. Now, how widespread was it? I have no idea. I haven't heard anyone show me how widespread. Was it happening in every black area, every black city, every place where black people were? Was it happening in some cities? Was it happening in a small percentage of places where black people were? Who knows? Because nobody's ever said it. They just give a general cry of redlining. But regardless, it was wrong. Nobody in their right mind is saying that they're justifying that behavior. It was wrong. We all could admit that it was wrong behavior. However, it's irrelevant to today. None of that is stopping black people today. And if a black community is redlined, it's not because of nothing in the past. It's because of what those black people in the community are doing today. Not because of no racism, no white supremacy, because of black people's behavior. Anyway, if you ever hear any one of these race hustlers or black victims crying about redlining, well, now you know, and knowing it's half the battle. And it's always, always y'all. Until next time.